McRightClick. That was an impression of the fan of the hammer, by the way. He was so bad. Anyway, he's back, ladies and gentlemen. All right, welcome to the channel, guys. I'm Stylosa, and I'm joined by the...
Rootin', tootin', pointin', shootin', No, I can't do an American accent. That wasn't even
that is so bad.
I'm here.
Okay, well, let's just ignore that happened. Right, let's talk about McCree. So, McCree has been buffed, right? It's very simple. He just does more damage with his fan the hammer.
Rawhide.
Tell me about it, Josh. Tell me about it.
Yeah, he was buffed. His fan the hammer damage has been increased by 10 per shot. So ultimately, at the end of the day, McCree now does a total of 330 damage with his right click. This means that he can one-shot things like Brigitte's. He can blow up Doomfists better than you can imagine, and he shreds barriers. Combined with his reload, that is a nice total of 660 DPS. That is enough, ladies and gentlemen,
to
blow up
a Winston barrier. Yes!
And so Winston bubbles just vanish in front of this rootin' tootin' pointin' shootin' cowboy. Beautiful. Yeah, I know I'm a McCree player, so I was kind of happy to see the buff come in. It is primarily there to help shred Brigitte in particular, but also stuff like Doomfist. We did a lot of coverage on this before the buff went live, but it does have that side effect of, back in the day, Sty, come back with me through time, through a time portal, when McCree's fan the hammer did not actually do any damage different than his left clicks. Okay, McCree could literally explode tanks just by right-clicking, roll, right-click, and Reinhardt would just be dead, devastated, and done. And it was the meta then was just you literally spam right-clicks into barriers all day. Are we back at that point? Are we back here? Are we back at this time?
No. We're not there. We're not at that level. I mean, for a start, Reinhardt's got 2,000 HP barrier in front of him, so you're not deleting Reinhardt's barrier. It's a nice addition to damage on the barrier, and it's almost like a Roadhog, right? It's really weird. It's like you've got this hero now, McCree, where if you're playing on it doesn't matter any map. I just like coming up with crazy scenarios. Like we're playing on King's Row, and Reinhardt, we're on going through the streets phase, and Reinhardt is coming towards you. Roadhog would be pretty good there for burning the barrier down, but McCree can do that now. He could do it before, and arguably it was always better to fan the hammer, roll, and fan the hammer than just shoot at the barrier. Now, though, it's more damage. Now you've got this 660 damage hitting the barrier, which is way more than it used to be before. But it's not just about burning barriers down, right? The point you touched on of dealing with Doomfist is true. I tell you what he's really good for doing as well is killing Reaper. Reaper comes at you, you flash him and just fan the hammer, he's dead. I've noticed though, what I've been doing a lot of is I'm going away from trying to just one-tap people in the head. Like, you get a tracer and you flashbanger, instead of just shooting in there, I'm just fan the hammer. I'm just rolling in, flashing people and fan the hammer into them. It's the cheapest solo queue strat ever, going on a mad flank and then just dropping out of nowhere as McCree. Fan the hammer and killing people. It is pretty good. But I was telling Josh before we started making this video, I was playing McCree on not on Junkenstein's bench.
Congratulations.
In the castle. On Eichenwald. Final point. And normally I'd come off of McCree there. Because McCree, not too effective there. It's very claustrophobic. I'd probably play something like Junkrat, to be fair there. I'm just spamming bombs. I feel like I'm doing more than I would be with a McCree. But McCree, I decided to stay on him. You know what? I've got Fan the Hammer. It's buffed. I'm just going to see what happens. And all I was doing was spamming Fan the Hammer into the front line of the enemy repeatedly over and over again. And I noticed I could, viscerally feel the damage I was putting out to their front line was really good. Especially if you go up to a Reinhardt and you flash him over his barrier and then you fan the hammer into him. That's 330 damage. That is huge. It's oh my God. And if it's the middle of a fight, he's taking more damage from everybody else anyway. So I noticed that it seemed really effective. And I feel like what we've got here is a McCree that's actually pretty good against tanks again. I'm not too sure if he's OP, but he's way better than he was before. And he doesn't feel as helpless. McCree was always, he was notorious for being the most diveable DPS, right? You got into McCree, if he doesn't flash you and then kill you, well, what are you going to do? Well, I mean, if Winston jumps onto a McCree, it was typically somebody help me, please. Or you try and kill him, right? You try and get the headshots on him and whatever. But it's normally easier for the Winston to deal with you. But now, you've got this nasty bit of spike damage.
You've got enough to really sort of be a visible deterrent, I suppose, to stuff like that. I mean, McCree on one-on-one dives generally did okay, but McCree still has that weakness that he always used to have, which is that the moment that two people get involved in the dive, so if it's a Winston and a Genji, well then he's just ruined. He can flash one and try and headshot the Winston or try and do the fan the hammer, but then the Genji's just going to kill him because McCree's hitbox is a fridge. You can't miss him. He's a big chunky lad. He's a real heckin' chonker, and so as a result you're going to get right clicked into him, and he's a heckin' chonker. Oh lord, he coming. He's a big boy, and so he's going to take a ton of damage very quickly. So he does have that weakness. Like, he's a very powerful close-range hero, but if you can, like, speed boost onto him, he's just going to die. And this is why I like the pro level, and I like referencing the pro level for this stuff, because this is the optimal way to play it. You have team comps almost that used to be built around the McCree, and I think that's still going to be very much the case. We have, like, Lucio to help speed him around, to help give him that little bit of extra agility. You have Reinhardt to protect him, Zarya bubbles to protect him, and you just basically build around this this McCree that can, you have, like, Pine just hitting god-tier shots and blowing people's head off, and then if they do die, when you've got enough tools that help protect him, that suddenly then you can have this almost pseudo carry role that is like, if you have a hit scan god like Pine, he can just take over a game completely and really devastate people with that. The issue there is that, are we going back to, well, you have the best DPS player, therefore you win? And is that a problem? Is that an issue, Sty?
Well, I don't know. Like, it's weird, right? The argument is always going to be with DPS. If you're putting in the time and you have got such ridiculously good mechanical aim and all of that stuff, then yeah, you should be getting value. Overwatch, there are a lot of ways to stop this value. Like, when you see Widowmakers getting played, there are ways of dealing with the Widowmaker that are not necessarily straight up picking Widowmaker yourself and trying to kill her. So there are ways of dealing with DPS in a way. If it's straight up mirror matchups, which I guess is kind of what you were leading into, if McCree was like the de facto go-to meta DPS, then yeah, it would come down to whichever team's got the best McCree, right? This happened for a while with Tracer, didn't it? It was who's got the best Tracer is just going to win the game, and that was it. Same with Widow, right? Whoever had the best Widow was going to win the game, because that's the way the game was being played at the time. For me, I don't mind it if DPS has the potential to pop off. If they land the shots, they should get rewarded for that, because that's what their gameplay is all about, right? They do damage. I mean, I know, Josh, you were laughing to me before we started recording this video about Brigitte, and the fact that she could effectively one-shot people in the past, and maybe some people would be getting annoyed that McCree can do that now with his flashbang combo and fan the hammer rather than focusing on actually aiming at heads. But is that really a problem? Because he's not a support.
Yeah, it's McCree's job to deal damage. And I'd also say, like, with McCree, separate from Tracer and Widowmaker, Tracer and Widowmaker have a lot of individual agency. Tracer can sort of get behind the enemy team, make big plays on her own. Widowmaker is often a little bit independent, trying to set up crossfires and stuff like that. And sure, the team's involved in setting those up, but it's not directly there. When you're playing with a McCree, you generally, like, the tank has to be protecting the McCree, doing his job as a tank. The supports have to keep him alive. The amount of times I've actually, like, vehemently thanked supports of going for, like, a risky Deadeye, and the supports pump me full of healing to keep me alive. It's like, and get 2 kills as a result. It's like, yeah, no, thanks so much, guys. Like, that was a risk, and they made it work. And with McCree, I think there's like a safety here of, like, he has to be played with the team. He's not like an independent, just takes over a game completely. He's just there as a big part of the team. And I liken him to a, you're a football-y kind of guy. I'm not. It's all sports ball to me. But he's like a striker. You have to have the midfield. You have to have the wingers, like, bring the ball up to him, set him up for the play, and then he gets the ball in the back of the net. And that's McCree's job in my mind. He's not this independent, takes over a game, bounces around all over the place. Oh my god, someone control the Tracer. He's just a part of the team and fits part of the team quite nicely. So overall, I think he's very nice. But there's also an elephant in the room, Sty. There's something that we haven't talked about, which is that I thought Ash was going to kill McCree. What happens to that?
Well, yeah, like, so, okay. It's not as simple as, like, one killing the other. Like, they are better at certain things. Ash, I think, has got a better ultimate sometimes. Now, in the past, I was like, well, Ash's ultimate is just straight up better. But people have started to realize that actually Bob is quite easy to control. Anna is in a lot of games now. She'll just put him to sleep straight away. It's like, bye. Or your Reinhardt will just block him. It's like, you stupid, Bob. So you don't really get that cheeky damage you were getting before. Still good engagement ultimate, though. And if you work with your friendly Reinhardt, then yeah, you do get the Earth Shatter kind of combo you can work with, knocking their Reinhardt up in the air, and then yours follows through. So you get that. The big issue with Ash is McCree is better DPS now. Ash has a lot of downtime. Have you played a lot of Ash, right, Josh?
Yes.
I've played a lot of Ash. It feels like you spend an eternity reloading with Ash. When you've got the full complement of ammunition in your weapon and you're firing away into people and you're landing those shots and you're doing the damage and you're at a good range, it feels really strong. And then comes the awkward, oh wait guys, I've got to reload. I'll be back in 10 minutes, and you're reloading away. The McCree, on the other hand, is still outputting. He's still being effective. He's still got value. So Ash has these waves. She has value, and then she's doing nothing. Then she has value, then she's doing nothing. McCree is taking up a completely different position to Ash, because Ash typically wouldn't be with the team or close to the team. She can act kind of independently in a way, because she's more range focused, I suppose, with the ×1 zoom. McCree, though, is firing, he's firing, he's firing. He's then rolling to reload, he's firing, he's firing, he's firing, he's flashing, he's firing. There is no downtime for McCree. McCree's reload is pretty fast as well. So McCree is outputting more than Ash. So in this sort of comparing the both of them together, because let's not beat around the bush here, they're both vying for the same spot in the team. They're both after that hit scan DPS slot. Like, there isn't a world where you run a McCree and an Ash and expect that to be meta. That would never be meta because of all the systems in the game that exist to stop hit scan players working. So defense matrix and barriers and all of that stuff. So you either take one or the other. And if you ask me right now, you're taking a McCree. But this leads me into a question for you, Josh. Is this too strong?
Wait and see is my initial gut reaction. It does feel very powerful at the moment, like the ability to just shred tanks. But when the Ash McCree debate was coming up, one of the things that I stated, and I still stand by this, is that, like you said, you play them in different positions. McCree is a lot closer, a lot more up front, and Ash is a lot further back. And the result between the two is that, yes, they are very similar, but because you have one that is more of a close range specialist, one that is a long range specialist, then suddenly the meta changes up slightly, and next thing you know, you're playing a long range meta and Ash is suddenly all the new hotness and the new sexiness. So it's like McCree can now be this more close range bully. He can be more oppressive at close range, and they can make him more focused at being that close range threat, while Ash can be the long range threat. If you leave Ash alone, if you don't pressure an Ash, she can blow people's heads up really quickly. She can do a lot of damage until she has to reload, and then you're spending 3 weeks in all fight reloading. So you have to be very careful with that, of course, but it's like you have that diversity between the two, where you have that close range threat, and I think that McCree, he will always have the weakness, bizarrely, to like a very aggressive dive comp. Like, as much as Flashbang helps against dive comp, Flashbang to me is more of a tool against, like, they have a Tracer, so you play a McCree. If they have a Tracer, a Genji, a Winston, and a Diva, suddenly the McCree's value is just gone, because he's not safe enough to survive that, he's not safe enough to deal with that, and when the meta swings around again and we go back to a dive meta, I can imagine McCree having a lot of issues. So while we're in the tanky meta, yeah, McCree feels fine, he feels great, he feels incredible at this point. If the meta changes, he could be in a lot of trouble, and if we get to a point where you can run either a tanky team or a dive team in the same meta, which is sort of the ideal, then suddenly McCree has a lot of options against him. And I think that he's okay for now. I do think that he might see a resurgence towards Diva coming back, just to like eat flashbangs and eat the fan the hammer, because of course it all comes out in a big burst that you can't really do anything with, so the moment you see McCree press right click, you press right click, his damage is all gone. So there are ways of dealing with it, and I think right now is like wait and see how it goes, see if it is super frustrating for tanks, see if it is like a Brigitte 2.0, or see if Diva just makes a resurgence, because I really think that is a potential problem here for McCree, where suddenly you see Zarya sort of drop back a little bit. The moment you see the flashbang come over the Rhyme barrier, where you just put a defense matrix on him, he's fine, 100%.
Well, I mean, this is why we never see McCree in dive comp, right? Throughout basically all of Overwatch League Season 1, I mean, you would see McCree sometimes, right? We all remember Pine on, like, Oasis or whatever. There'd be odd times you'd see the McCree. I mean, hell, you remember IDDQD? It was the McCree specialist for San Fran. And, like, how many games did he play?
None.
You know, it's so, yeah, it's unlucky. All right, guys, no.
Numlock played one.
No, yeah, he must have played one, surely. Sure, I'm Googling this. I'm Googling it in a video.
I'm pretty sure, isn't it like the meme that IDDQD has a 100% win rate in Overwatch League because he's just played one match? I know they had to play in preseason because that's how preseason worked. You had to play all the players.
Yeah,
past that, I don't know if they ever did bring him out. I mean...
Yeah, they did. I think they did, yeah.
San Francisco Shock was like the world's blandest team anyway, so good luck. Sorry, San Francisco Shock fans, but really? Really?
Anyway, on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, let us know if you think McCree is OP. I agree with what Josh said. I think in this tanky meta, he is quite good. But with Ash, you do have the element of, hey, if this just changed to dive, Ash does have coach gun, so she can disengage from a dive, or she can punt back the dive in Winston. So there is an option there to still play a hit scan, kind of like McCree, but it's just his female equivalent that can move, because McCree actually can't because he's a fridge. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Stylosa, and this is Unit Lost. If you like the video, then like the video and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment below. Follow me on Twitter, which is @UnitLostGaming, and Josh has been...
I have been and will continue to be Josh, one amongst many Pemberton. You can find me on Twitter at @1_amongst many. You can find me on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/ESL_one amongst many. Come check it out.
Spicy. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next one. Toodaloo.
Doodles.